same game. Hi everyone. Hello. It is I, Tripper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole. And I'm here, and you're hearing music, and I don't think I want you to. So I'm gonna turn it off for the moment. And I think I'm gonna do that. Well, that's nice, but that doesn't change anything for you. How about if I do this? Doesn't change it for you either. Wait, wait. No, that doesn't change it for you either. Oh, I know why, because you're getting it directly. And I'm also getting it from here, which means that should cut it for me, but you're still getting it, but I don't want you to get it, so I will just do that. So now neither one of us can hear the background music yet. Because I don't want you to hear it yet. Also, let me move this over here. Hi, everybody. Hi, I'm Tripper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole, and welcome. This is apparently my 6-year anniversary of being an affiliate. I was affiliated May the 25th, 2017. I started streaming in November of 2016, so my 7-year streamiversary is going to happen in November, right around Thanksgiving break, as a matter of fact, which means I've got to plan something exciting for it. I don't know what yet, but I will plan something for it. Hey, how are you all doing? What's going on? I have things to tell you. I'm so happy you're here. We're playing Disco Elysium, by the way, but I'm so excited that you're here. I've got so much to talk to you about. Oh, I'm so excited. I'll just have to live with the music in your head. Oh, speaking of which, there was music, and I wanted to say something about it. No music? Denied. No, you'll get the music back soon. So wait. Okay, so this is Hawkeye's fault. Hawkeye said, and the beat goes on. And the beat goes on in the chat. And so now I have got Sonny and Cher in my head is what's happening. And I want you to know that I've got Sonny and Cher in my head, and it is Hawkeye's fault. La-di-da-di-da. La-di-da-di-da. We got you, babe. Da-da-da-da. They were actually, they were good. I have to talk about Sonny and Cher for like a hot second. Not too long, but for a really quick, short second. Here's my water bottle. Oh, Lone Q, I'll tell you about my ride. Oh, hey! Why did I not hear you? Is my Streambox sound... What is it doing? Well, Sonny can fit in there fine, but Cher's a little tall for that. That's for... I know what happened. By the way, I know what happened. I didn't hear that because I muted the wrong thing, is what happened. So now I just unmuted myself, so I should probably hear everything just fine. Depending on actually... Wait a minute. You know what? Let me check something. Where did I... We don't want that. We want this to go where? 7, 8? Maybe? Oh, y'all, I've got to remember something. You know what I didn't do? I need to add a couple of random things.
We're in the money.
Oh, I just heard it. We're in... Oh, hey, everybody. You know what? I don't even think I need to... Yeah, hi. How are you? Don't even ask me what's going on. Thank you for those test bits. It's funny because I just rerouted that to a different location, but yet it turned up anyway, so I'm also peeking. There you go. Hey, look, I've got so many things to tell you, but first, though, I have to tell you something else, and that thing I have to tell you is actually really quite important. And what it is, how do I put this? It is something very serious, and it's something that I feel like we've known each other long enough that I can share this with you. The name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, on M will appear. And then I say boo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fan, or info. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Hawkeye, 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 Bo Buckeye, Banana, Fana, Fo Fuckeye, Fee, Fi, Mo Mock Guy. Hawkeye, but if the first two letters are ever the same, I drop them both and say the name. I like Bob, Bob drop the B's, Bo, or Fred, Fred drop the F's, Fo, Red, or Mary, Mary drop the M's, Mo, Airy. That's the only rule that is contrary. BP Phantom, BP Phantom, BT Phantom, Bo EP Phantom, Banana Phantom, Fo Fee Phantom, Fee Fi Mo Me P Phantom. BP Phantom, the name game. I need to make a note, everybody. First off, I want to thank you all for those resubs. It's like my awesome streamiversary, so I do appreciate it. But I need to make a note, and that is, hold on. Okay, I need to do this or else I will forget. So, update, I've got to write this down. Update basic, slim, OBS scenes to include Motu 7 and 8 and 9 and 0. Also, make a guest lecture OBS scene. Those are my notes. Oh, there was something else I wanted to tell you. I wonder what it was. I just have no idea. Oh, wait, I do know. I know exactly what it was. I want to thank Volpez for the bits. And whenever I get tips or bits in this place, because these were test bits, I sing We're in the Money, as sung by Ginger Rogers from the film Gold Diggers of 1933, which means I sing it in Pig Latin. Except that I cannot hold this in my left hand. I want to. Holding it in my left hand would not be a problem. It's just that I would not be able to, I'm not a very good snapper with my right. I mean, I can clearly snap with my right hand, but it doesn't feel fluid and comfortable. So I want to snap with my left hand. I can do it. I just don't like to do it with my left hand, with my right hand. So, you know, I love you all. Everyway in hey the anime. Everyway in hey the anime. Eve way at gale at way of way at wet wakes to ute gale young way. Everyway in hey the anime. Ede ice gaze are ani say. Old man the aviation pray ooh yare ooh three you stand way hungry. Eve every eat red lay on say ev way at brains lay ute day. And we see the end, the order will up, left the eye, get right in the eye, we're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along. Thank you for those test bits, but here's the thing. I think, or I suspect, no, I feel like you should be able to hear it. Anyway, if you just, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. I can hear it, so it's fine. I had a thought about that too. Yeah, I had a thought about that. I wouldn't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Don't even worry about it. I wouldn't. What did I just redirect? Yeah, I know what I just redirected. Weird. Okay, don't just Just nope. So everybody, I've got things to share with you all. Let me see. What are you all doing? Mr. Monkey says, I just realized I haven't had any caffeine today. To resolve it or just do without? Oh, that's a good question. Here's the question. Does caffeine keep you up or not? That would be the main question to ponder. Because if caffeine keeps you up and it's too late for you, then have tea. If caffeine doesn't keep you up, then have some. It depends. Do you like coffee? That's the question. Uh, hello, BP. Yay! Happy affiliate anniversary to me. 3 streams later, he finds it in that notebook. I'm keeping it open to the thing so I don't forget. Headachy? No, not this time. Sorry, no pig Latin. It's not kosher. Well, I think it's kosher as long as you don't eat the pig Latin, right? Missile says, my customers are starting to like the fact that snapping my left fingers is really loud, that the 17-year-old cashies are wrong. I really do need to do the theatrical stuff. It is me, therefore it must be done. They're 17. I'm over twice rich. I understand all of that. Hawkeye says, bad news, I'll miss Pirates tomorrow. Good news, I'll be having fun at Blue Box Con. Ooh, have fun at Blue Box Con. Here's the thing I wanted to tell you all. I should tell you at the end, but I'm going to tell you now. Because it turns out my, what's the word? My offline stream is not up to date. So tomorrow we're going to be having a very special stream because here's the thing. I want the next session of the Gamblers to have everybody there because there are going to be some decisions that need to be made and I want everybody implicated. And so tomorrow I'm going to be bringing out the Camlin Viper and I'm going to do we're going to do some mock space battles so you can see what it all looks like. But I hope I can actually get all the assets done to do it the way I want to so I can actually really, really explain how it goes. Because there is dogfighting combat, which is what happens with fighters. And then there's like big space battles and there's even bigger space battles. And then, so there are a couple different sort of levels of combat. And I want to run you all through sort of like a little combat tutorial. We'll do dogfighting 100%. We will probably do regular space fighting, and then if we have time we will see what else we can do depending on how the time goes, but I'm excited to do that. That's very exciting to me, so that's what we're going to do tomorrow. Also because you know there may be a combat coming up in their future. We don't know. And so here's the thing about me as a GM, which implicated a work calls well, that's all right. So here's the thing that I do as a GM. I don't know. Here's my GM tip, or don't. Whenever I'm going to go and have like whenever I suspect there's going to be a combat, especially if it's something I haven't run in a while, or I haven't had combat in a while, I always do a mock combat before the session, just so I can make sure I've got everything under my fingers and I can see if anything, like if there's something that needs to, it's good for me to know. I was like, hey, just did a test combat so that when it happens with the players there, I can be fluid. I can think of things that they might need to know. I can it's a way for me to go and make sure that I have not only all of my GM ducks in a row, but I can also anticipate what they might need as players so I can help them out. And, it's like, it allows me to play both sides of the table so I can figure out how to best help them. So I always do that. I always do that whenever there's going to be a thing coming up that I'm like, ooh, that might be a thing. So, and since there may be combat when our players come back, I'm going to go and just run through some of that tomorrow, but also let you be here. And I'm going to try to do it in a more explicit way for you all. Mock combat, is it like mock trial? It is like mock trial, so that people die. That's why. Missile Monkey says, I love coffee, but I don't have any creamer till I can sneak into work for a few minutes to do shopping. I can only enjoy streams 1 night a week these days. I'm at work until 10 p.m. Oh no, most of the week. And on Monday, I don't get back for your Monday game until almost 9. Oh, that's so terrible. I'm so sorry. That's a bummer. Why do they call it dogfight? It's more like a cat fight, all out and coming at weird angles. Well, that's true. That's true. Probably, I've thoughts about that, actually. That has to do with gendering animals in weird ways. Weird people are weird. Society's weird. So, Friday, we're gonna be doing that. Saturday at noon, I will be running. We'll be doing the Outer Worlds. I have a thing on Sunday night. I didn't tell you this because I just got the heads up about it, but I'm going to be guesting on Zeal Zaddy's talk show on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and it's a roundtable. We'll be talking about GM prep, which, by the way, is part of what I'm doing right now. But so I'm going to go and update my away screen so that it'll all be up there and you'll be able to see everything and update the schedule. Everything will be updated. That's what I'm going to be doing this week. And next week, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it next week. But definitely Thursday will be this stream. Friday should be, as long as Lindy gets home safely, should be finally the showdown between Lindy and I on Friday for Tales from the Foxhole. And then, I've got some questions about everything should be fine. Oh gosh, everything should be fine on Friday. Look, I don't mean to stress you out or really stress myself out, but they're shutting down the power to the entire campus. They're doing sort of these power outages on Friday and then on Sunday to go and reset our power plant. Everything should be back by the time I'm supposed to stream on Friday, but just in case, you'll know. But it should be good. Yeah, I think. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think I just look, now you've got me paranoid, everybody. You've got me paranoid. Let me just check. Because again, paranoid. Ba-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Yeah, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I was right. Good. I didn't mess it up. Great. Good. Look, I was just paranoid is what happened. I was a little paranoid. I was a little bit worried about it. But we're good. I'm going to actually pop out this chat. I actually quite like the chat up here, but I like to have chat in two different places just in case I need it in multiple spots. It's a thing. There we go. Yes. It's weird that I have chat in two different locations, but I do. That's my life. Let's see. Missile Monkey says, the last time I played Traveler, 3 entire sessions were one massive combat, some of which was ship combat. Oh, interesting. How massive was it? Fine by Friday. Strange. So, I don't need to know my own chat rules. That's fine. I'm over here and over there. It's true. I just moved you to different places. So, do they know that they're interrupting important meetings with fellow professionals who may or may not be on campus? They don't really care. So, that's a thing. What else did I want to tell you? Because there are a couple of things. Okay, look. I'm going to tell you something before we start about what's going on with me. A couple of things. One, I've started bike riding again. Lone Ku asked about it. And on Tuesday, I did my first bike ride in a while because I had to, I did the big bike ride at the end of December, and then it was snowing, so I couldn't ride. And then, the end of the spring semester just was too much. But I started up on Tuesday, and Tuesday I went and I washed my bike and I degreased my chain, and then I re-lubed it and everything was perfect. And I went out to ride 6 miles, and the tires were underinflated. And I thought, that's not a big deal. I'll just hit a gas station. And once I hit a gas station, I'll put the air back in the tires. But I did not find a gas station until the very, very end of my ride. So I did the whole ride with underinflated tires. Not so bad that, it'd be the worst, but I was slow and my legs were exhausted. And so I finally inflated the tires. I rode today, was 10 minutes faster on my ride, same route today than I was on Tuesday, but my legs are tired. So anyway, I'm just a little, I'm a little slacking. I'm a little low speed, high drag at the moment. Okay, note to self, get Trooper a generator in less than 24 hours. I think I should be fine. Yeah, it might be a bit much CO2. I can't run my mic until the doves that are in the nest above it leave the nest. My carport is a real Airbnb. Oh, oh. Mm. Thank you, Cher, for the happy affiliate anniversary. So I wanted to tell you something else. This is something else I wanted to tell you, and it's a little bit of a spoiler. Oh no! Before I tell you the spoiler, I'm going to tell you what else. So grades are due tomorrow at 9 a.m. So when I'm hosting Critical Role tonight, I'm going to be finalizing my grades. Everything is basically done, except that I had a student who just got me their work about 30 minutes ago. So I've got to grade that, and then I can sort of push all those grades, have all that go live. That's really great. So I'll be doing a little bit of that and then prepping for tomorrow, but I'm feeling good about that. I am doing a guest lecture at UCLA next week via Zoom. That'll be fun. But I need to tell you something, and it's a secret. So don't tell anyone. The baby robins are gone, but we have baby doves now. No word on the sparrows. That's amazing. It's I got affiliated in May of 2017. Isn't that wild? Oh no, not a problem unless the underinflated tires decide to underinflate more or just burst. No, it wasn't really a problem. It was just hard. I didn't realize how much of a difference it makes. Anyhow, I want to tell you a secret. This is important. So, the last two, I teach full time, right? Which means during this school year, I don't get to be too wild in terms of the kinds of streaming I get to do. I mean, sometimes I will be a player in more than a couple channels and all of that, but I have to be a little bit reasonable. And so I always want to do something big in the summer. Like the summer is like the time when I can maybe do more stuff. But last summer, I moved from Ithaca to Atlanta. And the summer before that, I moved from Massachusetts down to Ithaca. So 2 summers in a row, I was in the midst of moving and really couldn't go and do all the stuff that I wanted to do. And so for the longest time, I was like, I really want to run like more streams on my channel in the summer. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. And because the last 2 summers have been so miserable, I haven't been able to do that. And I'm going to do it. I just want you to know. And what do you mean I'm awesome? Come on. Trooper, this is a public stream. You can't share secrets this way unless you want them to stop being a secret. Wait, what? I mean, come on. And no one's like, y'all aren't going to tell. And I won't give the whole secret. I'll just give a little bit of the secret. So we won't tell that guy with the camera. Well, yeah, that's fair. The vessel with the pestle has the poison. The flag with the dragon is the brew. That is true. That's the secret. No, listen. So I am going to run an 8-session mini-series in June and July on my channel on Tuesday nights at 7. So same academic foxhole time. And we're going to start. Let me tell you. I can tell you. We're going to start when? I think we're going to start the 13th of June. Right, we're going to go from the 13th of June to that Tuesday right before Gen Con. And yes, Vulpes, June is not that far away. I have sent out my invites, and I have gotten yeses from 3 of the 4 people that I've invited. And I just need to get that confirmation of the 4th, either yes or no, so that I can either ask a different person or we'll have that person. And because we're going to have our session 0 on the 6th of June, which is in like 2.5 weeks. So I've got a lot to do to get ready for the game that I'm going to be running. But I'm going to be running a game. Well, I mean, I'm already running a game. You know what I mean. But I'm going to be running another game, which is Vampire the Masquerade. I'm going to be running my Vampire the Masquerade game set in Detroit in the 70s, and I have got 3 of the 4 players confirmed. I do not have the 4th yet, but I'm working on that, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm really excited about running some Vampire, a non-canon Vampire campaign. June is in 2 weeks, but yes, but I've got 2.5 weeks before session 0, basically 3.5 weeks before we go live. The first chance for me to go back to Gen Con is next year. I get my first vacation right before New Year's. I'm not going yet. Not going into big cons in person just yet. Trooper by Night? No, it's going to be called The Empty Crown, which has to do with a sociological theory about black mayors. And I'm very excited about it. And I'm just waiting for one more yes, and then I can start the rollout for all the hype. But I thought I'd tell you all first because, we're here together. But yeah, I'm going to be running a non-canon Vampire the Masquerade set in the 70s, which means, and what do I mean by non-canon? I mean, none of the NPCs in the book exist in my world. Like, we're not, like, any of that lore, none of it. We're just going to get rid of all of that. We're going to keep basically the structures, right? That there's a Camarilla, there's a Sabbat, we're kind of basically going back to 2nd edition revised. We're not doing the high clan, low clan thing. We're going back to 2nd edition with the sort of vagueness of 2nd edition. That's what we're doing, and that's what I'm about. 70s, so not too long after the riots. Exactly, Cher. Exactly. It'll be not too long after the riots. And I have ideas. I had this thought that came to me, and I was like, oh, that would be really interesting. So I'm kind of excited. There will not be there'll be no cannons. Still getting ready for Gen Con, have 2 more Urban Shadows adventures to create up. That sounds very exciting, Hawkeye. Oh, you should also tell us how it goes. So when I say non-canon, I mean, if you're like a lore nerd who's like, well, yeah, but actually, the current prince of Detroit, according to canon, is so-and-so, and also their sheriff is so-and-so, and also, I don't know if you know this, but actually, Detroit is a Sabbat city right now, and none of that. We're not paying attention to any of that, none of that. We're not doing any of it. And if you're like, well, but Mithras says this, but also this is exactly, no, none of it. We're not doing any of that. What we're doing is you take basically 2nd edition before revised, what is in there, that's our basis. And we're not going to think about none of the supplements, none of that. All the stuff they did to expand lore, all of those LARP people that they included as princes in setting books later, we're not doing any of it. None of it. We're going to create our own universe, and we're not going to worry about any of that business. Yes. So no lore lawyers. Nope. Yeah, we're going back to the White Wolf Vampire, way back. Lorers, are you going to be using the 2E revised system, or we're using V5? But because that's the current edition, and actually I think it's quite interesting as an edition. I like it. It's different, but I think it's interesting. I think there's some kind of cool things about 5th Ed that I really like mechanically. I really like that the players create their campaign tenants, their chronicle tenants. And there are a lot of things that I think are actually kind of cool mechanically about V5. We're just going back to 2nd pre-revised, before they expanded all the lore, we're going back to that sort of square one sort of starting point. Do you know? Good, V5's yeah, I really like V5. I think it's really interesting. My vamp for the new vampire LARP in town is a La Sombra troubleshooter. Oh, interesting. If he makes friends, I'll be surprised. If he makes enemies, well, it's not personal, it's just business. Oh, Missile Monkey, I love it. These are never the people that Trooper would play with anyway. Well, that's probably fair. I like when you can separate system and sediment, probably because I grew up with GURPS. Yes. Also, I think what's interesting to me, right, is that, yes, GURPS, absolutely, but also pre-splat books, right? They would when I think about Mage, The Awakening, or Vampire, or a lot of books, what they would do is you'd get a book, and the book would give you the starting point. They say, hey, here's the starting point. You do you. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, okay, so there's a technocracy, there's this, there's that. Okay, I got it. Like, you get the basic outline of what the world is like, and then they just let you alone to do what you wanted to do with it, and then you sort of did your stuff. And that is sort of where I'm used to. I'm used to there being like a basis, right? If you're playing a game that has a setting, right? If you're playing a game that has a setting, they give you the basic structure, and then you get to improvise from there, like jazz. And for me, to use music as a metaphor, I like my RPGs to be more like jazz, where they give you some chord changes and you do your thing, than like classical music, where there's a score that everybody should be memorizing and following. And if you play something a little bit different, they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Beethoven wouldn't want you to play it that way. I mean, you're playing Beethoven, and Beethoven would want it different. I was like, I don't care what Beethoven thinks. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a fifth of Beethoven because it's Disco Elysium. You know what I mean? Because it's disco. It's disco. Because I'm going to just point for the record that I know that people here in this chat know exactly what I'm talking about when I say a fifth of Beethoven. It's that disco version of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. I feel like you know what I'm talking about. Some of you do. Missile Monkey says, lore and rules lawyers will inevitably appear. They will. The trick, of course, is to treat such people like they're 2-year-olds. Well, I mean, the thing is, look, I don't have, I don't think there's anything wrong with being a rules lawyer or a lore lawyer if that's what brings you joy and everybody at the table is into it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are people, like, I mean, look, there was somebody who was saying that they wanted to run the One Ring, the Lord of the Rings game, with people who are, like, super Tolkien nerds, who've read the Silmarillion. Like, that's what they wanted. They wanted everybody who's a player to have read the Silmarillion and to, like, really know their Tolkien and, like, be super deep into the lore. And that's what they wanted. And I'm like, awesome. You're like, I feel like if you have a game where every single person is that sort of like a lore obsessed, you have a very different game than if that is not the case. And you know what? I think that's valid. It's just that, like, and in that game, right, if the game is like, hey, this is gonna be a game for a bird who's like a super lore nerd, it would be kind of uncool to be not a lore nerd and like be like lore indifferent and be like, I'm gonna join the game anyway, and then like not, because that's not what the game's about. Like, I always feel like you got to play the game that's being played. And in some games, with some groups of people, what's really important is that everybody is like super into the lore. Some that's not as important. In some, it's that everybody really knows the rules, and in some, it's that you don't. You know what I mean? And I think everything is fine. It's just, is everybody at the table playing the same game? Really, that's just it, right? Yes. So, Valtiel says, I don't think Beethoven thinks much of anything these days. Oh, Valtiel. I wish people would agree with you. But people get really weird about it. They're like, no, I can feel, I can channel Beethoven. Like this, like that's the thing with like the conductor, like really like weirdly obsessive conductors. Be like, no, Beethoven is, I can feel his spirit and I'm channeling Beethoven and I know exactly. And they would then argue like what, like, and Beethoven's dead. Do you know what I mean? But people, ooh, I just realized I would love some mac and cheese. Sorry, that was just a thought. Yes. Krellin says, so Trooper, which composers would be jazzy about their symphonies and which ones are actually all classical? Oh, that's a really good question. So what I would say is, there's actually a really easy answer for that. And that is, before Beethoven, most composers, like let's say before 1750, if we're going to go into the Baroque and Renaissance, most, and even once we get into the classical period, even still, if we're looking at Italian composers of opera, it was assumed that the performers, okay, Krellin, you've asked a great question, and now I'm going to have to tell you things. But this is very exciting to me, which means I'm going to read the rest of chat first before I answer this question because I feel like you'll be really excited about the answer because it's very cool. Yeah, all the original books were like that. They touched on how they crossed over and gave very basic settings, but that was more later. Yes, Vulpes, and I love that about it. Still hooked on classics. Trooper, did you hate the column I wrote for the Seattle Street News? No, I didn't. I loved it, actually. I thought your column was really amazing. It made me really happy. I was like, yay. PDQ Bach to the classics. Oh, yeah. So they very often don't care what anyone else at the table thinks. Yes, that's the problem. The problem is when you're not playing the game with the table, you know? Mr. Monkey says, I don't know about being hooked on the classics, but I'm hooked on a feeling. Oh, hooked on a feeling. Oh, feelings believing that you're in love with me. I'm in love with you. Somebody's in love with somebody. It's a good song. I prefer when my players don't know the world except for how their characters interact with it. Makes for some great reveals. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, I actually do not think this is wishy-washy at all, but I know people will say things like, oh, never surprise your players. Always let them know. If you're going to do like a bait and switch, always tell them beforehand so they can buy in. And I was like, depends on the players and the relationship with them. Like, I would not do a bait and switch with players I don't know, but I would definitely do a bait and switch with players that I do know, that I have trust with, and whose taste I already know and who trust me and back and forth, right? Like, if I have players that I know well, I would definitely do a bait and switch with them. If I had one that I thought would be really interesting that they would have fun with, but that would be, and I would, but what I would probably do is like hint a bait and switch, but just not, I would hint that there's gonna be a bait and switch, but I wouldn't tell them what it was, right? I would do things like, I remember I was running Cthulhu Punk, which is GURPS's Cyberpunk plus Cthulhu setting. And I told the players we were running Cyberpunk, right? But what I did was, I thought this was, what I did was, so I got I made like a packet, like a player handout, where I photocopied some pages from the Cthulhu Punk setting guide. And I used the black marker to like black out what the book's name was so they wouldn't know. And so I blacked out anything that would indicate that it was Cthulhu Punk, not Cyberpunk, except that I on purpose on some of the blackouts when I did the black Sharpie over the thing name, on purpose, I purposefully didn't completely black out the entire word on every page. So like on some pages, I did it so that it looked like I just crossed off I was being sloppy and I crossed off the first part so you would just see C and then punk, but not the thing in the middle. And then I would like purposely cross it off again so that like you would just get like unk and not the first part. And then like it was like, oh, C, you just be like, I'd cross off everything but Hulu Punk and you just get the C. And so they'd be like, and then if they noticed, at one point in time, I made sure that I did not cover up the T in Cthulhu Punk so that they would know that it actually wasn't cyberpunk. And so I just let them know, right? Just like these little like, and then my players, oh, it's so great. Once, and then I start off with like a weird prophetic dream. And then once the weirdness started happening, my players, oh, it was so great. My players were like, we knew something was really weird because you were sloppy and like blacking out the name of the book. And we noticed there was something weird going on. And I was like, that was my plan all along because I wanted you to notice there's something weird going on to sort of like build a little bit of hype. And they were then, of course, and that was like me doing a double bluff and I loved it. And that was really great because they did not know that I did that on purpose. So they thought that they were like, we bet something weird is going on. And of course, something weird was going on, but I didn't like, it was great. And everybody had when all the drugs started leading to zombies, everybody had a very good time, and it was good times. So I always like to let people know overtly or covertly that there's going to be something going on. I just may not let them know exactly what it is, you know? Yeah. Yes. Let's see. Hawkeye loves PDQ Bach. I also love PDQ Bach. Scabinex says, rules lowering is more important in a system that expects you to bring your completed character sheet to the first session. Well, I think that depends on how we're defining rules lawyering, right? I think that this is the tricky thing with certain words. Like rules lawyer, Munchkin, there was another one I was thinking about recently. Oh yeah, GMPC. I was talking to somebody about GMPCs and I was like, I'm against GMPCs. I think they're a problem. And this person's like, oh no, I think it's totally fine. And of course, we were defining GMPC differently because he was like, oh well, you have a GMPC, like Luke in and Hannah in City of Light and Shadow. I was like, nope, they are not GMPCs as I define GMPCs. Right? For me, a GMPC is a character that the GM thinks of as their own character. Like, oh, this is my player character, GM PC. But for me, Luke and Hannah were always NPCs, non-player characters. I never thought of myself as a player playing a character. I thought of myself as a GM playing a bunch of NPCs, none of whom are the stars, none of whom take center stage, none of whom I'm invested in, right? And so for me, I defined GMPC as a negative term. So there is no like, oh, but if you do it right, a GMPC, asterisk, there is an asterisk here. There's an asterisk here. There are ways in which GMPCs can be done well, of course. Usually, in my experience, it has to do with rotating GMs, like a thing where it's all set up that we're actually going to rotate GMs, and so therefore you have to have a PC because you're going to be a player at one point in time. But in the moment that I'm the GM, even if I have a PC, that PC becomes an NPC until I rotate into the player spot. Anyway, so for me, a rules lawyer is not a positive term and for me, it's not used positively. If there's a person who knows the rules really well, I wouldn't call them a rules lawyer. I wouldn't call them a lore lawyer. I'd call them like, oh, hey, like my rules encyclopedia. Woo! My rules helper. Woo! Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like for me, there's a difference between being really knowledgeable and being a lawyer. For me, a lawyer's argumentative, right? Likes to argue with you and is like, what are you doing? So I think that that's how I've always heard the term used. I've never heard the term used in a positive way. So I think it's always important to note, like, I've not really heard the term munchkin used in a positive way either. Min-maxing, I've actually heard both positive and negative. And so I don't necessarily think of min-maxing as necessarily always already negative. So it just kind of depends. So, long story short, right? Missile Monkey says, yes, but when someone tells the author of a book that they know the character's better, I have to laugh. Missile Monkey, I would normally agree with you, but not always. Because there was a time when fans were like, no, we know this character better than you. George Lucas, Han Solo would definitely shoot first. And I think that's valid. Like, you know what I mean? Because, works of art are created by the audience as well as the authors in their own way. Artie says, all right, my depression is spiking sadly, so I think I'm going to have to go. Oh, well, I will see you later, Artie. And Artie, if you need anything, let me know. And also do something nice for yourself. Single bait and switch is one thing, but when the bait and switch tier 4 or 5, that's when you get jaws hitting the floor. Yeah. Darn, if only I hadn't been so sloppy, says Baltiel. Yes, blackout parts. I did blackout parts in the handouts. What? Yeah, I suppose. I suppose how I think about rules lawyering. Yeah. Thank you, Wizard Styles. It's my field anniversary. Oh yeah, there's a huge difference between a recurring NPC and a GMPC. Absolutely, for me at least, right? I've encountered a couple of GMPCs and they've been horrific games. I have never had a good experience with a GMPC. I've had good experiences with GMs who have major NPCs, but there's a difference for me, right? They're just, for me, I use a term to make a distinction. Like, I make, like, a recurring, like, there are times when the players are like, we want that NPC with us all the time, and we want to talk to them all the time. And I still don't think of that as necessarily a GMPC. I mean, it could become one, but there's a difference. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. The games are always 100% about the GMPCs, yeah. Carl says, the difference between an NPC and a GMPC is the difference between supporting actor and lead actor. Absolutely 100%. 100%, right? Yes, absolutely. 100%. And for me, that's the difference, right? And I have seen people bend the rules for their GMPCs. And I was like, well. Inappropriate. Yeah, Wizard says, the difference between NPC and GM... Wizard says, it's the difference between taking center stage in a scene and taking over entire arcs for me. Yeah. And for me, I never mean to have an NPC take over a scene. If that happens, it's because the players put them there, right? Like if the players are like, "Hey, NPC, go do that thing, go do it," and the players tell the NPC to do it, then that NPC is going to get a bit of extra time. But it's always at the and the players want to see what happens, right? Otherwise, I'll just have that happen off screen, but or off stage. Yeah, for me, it's about what the players want, right? It's not about what I want. It's about what the players want. And so the players drive where the camera goes and where the spotlight hits. Uh, and the minute I start driving those things for my GMPCs is when we start having a problem, right? At least for me. Like I don't like it as a player, so I would never do it as a GM. I just don't like it. Don't like it. Yeah. Mr. Monkey says, if you do it right, GMPCs are indiscernible from regular PCs. I've never heard min-maxing as a positive thing. I actually have heard min-maxing as a positive thing, Missile Monkey, usually in the context of D&D, wherein if like you're in a campaign where the GM is super killer, it's really hard, and you have to min-max so that you can make sure you survive the challenges. And someone's like, oh yeah, you min-max your character really, really well. Like I've seen people within that context use min-maxing positively for that group of people. And in that context, the opposite of min-maxing is unoptimized. Right? So like, man, that character is really unoptimized, right? Or what's the other word people use besides unoptimized? Unoptimized. So like for me, it depends on the well, oh, now you've got me questioning myself. I feel like the people who use min-maxing in a positive way are probably using it to refer to themselves or their character themselves, right? And they probably actually just mean really optimized. And they're using min-maxing sort of with a little bit of irony. Do you know what I mean? I don't think now that I think about it, I've heard somebody call somebody else's character min-maxed in a positive way, unless they're really in that scene. Usually it's like optimized versus unoptimized. It's probably, although again, I kind of feel like that line between hyper optimized and min max is right. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I like having at least one person who knows the rules as well or better than me at the table when I GM to keep me to the book. Oh, I love it. Look, I'm going to tell you, I love it when the players know the rules. When the players know the rules, it makes me the happiest person ever. They don't have to. I would prefer that they do. And here's the thing, the better the players know the rules, the less I have to worry about as a GM. So I am happy. I am happy, happy, happy when the players know the rules and are into it. That's like great. Because if the players know the rules, then I don't have to backlead, right? I don't have to worry about their characters. I know that they've got it, and so then I can just concentrate on GMing. I don't have to think also. It's like I'm gonna just hit continue, by the way. Just you know, I'm gonna do that. Because like if I have to keep thinking about all of their characters and all of their elements, right? I was like, okay, wait, okay, you're playing a net runner. Let me make sure that I have all of those. Like, I've got to know everything, including what your feats are, what your advantages are, what your techniques are. If I have to know your character sheet backwards and forwards, so that I could play it because you do not know your character, that's a lot of extra work for me that means I don't get to keep my mind on, like I have to split my attention between GMing and playing other person's and like being the bird over their shoulder. And look, I actually do not mind doing this when we first start a game, especially for new players. Like if it's a new player, I am happy to go and do that work of like, teaching them how to play the game. It's something that I have no problem doing. But like if it's been 4 years and I still have to know your character because you don't know your character at all, and if I have to be like, you roll a d20, like, make a dex check. Oh, how do I do that? You roll a d20, and if you look at dex, there's a +3. You add that to the 20 that you roll. And if I have to do that still, and it's been 2 or 3 years, I'm going to start getting a little frustrated, right? So actually, I love it when players know the rules. I also appreciate that it will take a time uh, for that to happen. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I'm not impatient, but I mean, I'm just saying. Should I share the picture of Lucas wearing the shirt? Because I have the picture of... Yes, share it, Krellin, share it. I spent time, Miss Wizard Style says, I spent time in the depths of the old 3.5 character optimization boards. All monster characters were min-max, partly so, yeah. But yeah, overall the connotation is very negative. Yeah, Wizard, like, yeah, and I have to tell you, 3.5 was when people would really, really min-max, and the people I knew were really into it because they had to if they wanted to get that one prestige class. Like there was a lot of like optimization, you know. Vulpes says, I know people who are good with it, but they leave the min-max tweaking at the character creation part. Then are fine when you get to play. Vulpes, in 3.5, my experience was that they had to min-max the entire way through, or else they could never, A, get the prestige class they wanted, or B, they would not be able to keep up their DPS so that they could actually defeat the hellacious monsters and traps that were being thrown at them, right? So like, yeah, I remember them really, I remember all the conversations, right? About no, you really should not take more than 5 levels. Like, okay, you should take 4 levels of rogue, then you should actually take 2 levels of paladin, and then like really like mapping out exactly which classes you should take at which level, what is the trade-off, so that your characters could defeat Tiamat or whatever you got going on. And that particular crowd that I was in, that was not my vibe, but that particular crowd, they were, and I'm gonna tell you, they were impressive. Do you know what I mean? They were like, hold on, you're doing what now? Okay, so you are a dagger rogue. Okay, so if you're a dagger rogue, there's a feat in the complete miniatures handbook that you're probably gonna need. Okay, what we're gonna need to get a custom magic item, where we need you to get a ring of improved blinking is what we need if you're going to be doing daggers. If you get a ring of improved blinking, you're always going to be able to get sneak attack damage as long as they can't see into the astral plane. So that's going to be really important. We're going to have to get that right away. We should be able to get the money through questing over here or there. So we need to get that to you now. Of course, there's going to be a problem with the fact that you're not going to be able to get through certain, people without vitals. Okay, this is how we're going to like really, they were very, very intense about min-maxing, but they also had to be, or else everyone would die. And, I was impressed. They're like, oh yeah, page 77 from the Book of Vile Darkness has this one feat. We're using the Book of Vile Darkness, yes? Okay, you're going to want that one. You don't need anything else from that book. But then also, there is the Complete Fighter has, like they knew it all. Like, they're like, oh, you're casting? Okay. Don't take this meta magic feat. It's underpowered. You're going to want this one. You're going to want this one. Like, they knew all their stuff, and but that was what is happening here, by the way. But that is that was a very particular kind of experience. That was what it was. Do you know what I mean? And again, I wasn't mad or anything like that. It's just that's what it was. Oops. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, chat. What are you talking about? You find a holy avenger. I guess the only paladin in the group. My PC should take it. Wizard Styles. Well, you're also playing with more experienced players. I've recently GM'd for a few anxious teenagers, and sometimes I needed an NPC to steer them a little or get out of their shell. Oh, absolutely. I try to avoid having NPCs take over sometimes, but it's tough to avoid. Right, but you know what though, Wizard Styles? Because I'm going to agree with you. But I feel like when you have people who are new and timid, it's especially important for the GM not to think of that NPC as a PC, right? That PC, that NPC can certainly have more of a hand, but the purpose of that more of a hand is to empower the players rather than for you. Because here's the thing, I know a number of the GMs I know who do that always want to be players, is what it is. Like they actually don't want to be the GM, they want to be the player. And there's a difference between having a powerful NPC to help new players with the goal of empowering those new players so that they themselves can come out of their shell and right, take over, versus you wanting to play. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? And so like, and again, like, I know this is like perhaps slightly counterintuitive, but I actually don't think that whether or not a character is an NPC or a GNPC has to do with how much stage time they have. It's about an attitude towards the character. Like you can have yeah. When I was running Traveler way back when, GURPS Traveler Interstellar Wars, the captain of the ship was an NPC. And the captain of the ship was the captain of the ship, right? They were the captain. And everybody else, all the PCs, we had like an engineer, pilot, comms, astrogator, steward, and one more. Engineer, comms, pilot, steward, and purser. Those are the five. And you might think, oh, that captain is your GMPC. Absolutely not. The captain had more power than all the players, all the characters, right? PCs. But I was like, my plan was to kill that captain. My plan was simply to have the captain there to show the players how to, because they'd never played Travel before, so they didn't know about like jumping and all that stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and have this person just there in the beginning to as like training wheels, not my PC, an NPC, training wheels, NPC, and then I'm gonna kill the captain. And I tried so hard to kill that captain. I worked so hard, and they kept saving the captain. They just would not let that captain die. I tried so hard, but captain never died. I tried though, because I was like, okay, now they've got a hang of it. They figure out how to do it. We don't need this NPC here. Just kill the captain. They save the captain every single time. It's terrible. Mainly because the person who was the next in command was the pilot, and the pilot was a straight shooter, very honest. And the other characters were kind of mobsters and criminals. And the player of the pilot knew that the other players' characters were doing shady things, but the pilot didn't know. And so the shady PCs were hiding all their shady activity from the pilot. The captain knew but didn't care because the captain was shady in her own way. She was a spy. And like she was the captain of this trading vessel, but the whole purpose of the trading vessel was for her to do recon in enemy territory. And so she was totally fine with all sorts of shady activity. And so anyway, but I never thought of that character as a PC, right? It was always an NPC, even though that character had quite a lot of initial influence, if that makes any sense, right? If a PC initiates it, an NPC taking over the scene, that's fine. But if the GM initiates it, it can be seen as railroading. Absolutely, Missile Monkey. Omnoptimized, otherwise known as making choices for RP fodder. Right? How late are you going? Yeah, 9:30. 9:30, Krellin. I've played with a lot of people who are relatively new to a system and tried to have at least one experienced player to be an advocate for the rest of the players. Yeah, that's good. To replace, you know the rules, and so do I. A full commitment's what I'm thinking of. You wouldn't get this from any other guy. I just want to tell you how I'm feeling. I see you, Scavenac. Missile Monkey says, if a GM knows the character better than the player, then it doesn't feel, at least to me, that the player is devoted to the character and understand the character. Picture share in Discord. Oh, I'm so excited. 3-5 with all its different classes and prestige classes was a perfect storm of min maxing. I think Point Buy was introduced then as well. Oh, yeah, I think so. Trooper was my experienced player for the VTM gamer. Oh, and I had a great time. Jer ran a really great VTM game, by the way. A GM dictating how a character should be created, in my opinion, is overstepping. Ooh, Missile Monkey, I think that's tricky. I think it's tricky. Because where's the line between guidance and dictating, right? Because I will say, I think it's totally fair for a GM to say, in this campaign, this is the setup for this campaign. And the players are free to then say yes or no. And if the players say yes, then actually I do think the players, okay, so this is, oh, y'all, this is a whole thing. Which I have to tell you. Also, wait, I need to write this down. I was going to tell, because Krellin brought it up, and I'm going to just write this down so I don't forget. Composers, jazz, Renaissance, figured bass. Let me get back to that, by the way. Yes. I also don't want to forget that I want to talk about character creation, dictatorship, and guidelines. Because I will forget that. All right. Oh, yeah, all the feats as well and templates, yeah. Giving a player viable options is much different. That always annoyed me, said Volpez. The same goes with video games, especially MMOs, where you have to do this exact build and rotation or you're doing it wrong. Oof, I hated that. I'm not a scab, I'm a cop. Oof. Yeah, no. I'm going to push back on that a little bit, especially when it comes to homebrewed worlds. There are some things that just don't fit into the world that might be acceptable raw. Yeah. I like being a chip. Also, hey, Barator. Raw is good for some things. Good gaming requires a bit of that, a mix with RAI. It depends on the rules, right? I think if the rules are solid, then you don't need to necessarily do RAI. If the rules are not solid, then you might need to do I think it depends on what the rules are and what you're doing with them. Scabianac says, Volpez, I was in a progression ratings guild in WoW. At one point during the Encourage progression, we were ranked number 2 worldwide. Nice. I can tell you there were far more ways to do a roll wrong than correctly, yeah. But people would blame Blizzard for being bad at balance since every class didn't have 3 rating trees. Mm-hmm. But I didn't look down on people for not playing like I enjoyed the game. That's fair. Cher says, it's not even just raw versus RAI thing, but say you're running a campaign where magic is forbidden, rolling a wizard might not work for that campaign, yeah. The Captain Never Dies. It sounds like an interesting RPG. I tried. Mr. Monkey says, if the players know that magic is forbidden and still want to play a wizard, well, that's on them, and now they deal with the consequences. Yeah. Jir says, I as a GM would rather just say that there are no wizards at the table or say certain books aren't allowed to be played. Yeah. Hey, Prax, how are you? Krillin says, this is a divide between the character as a character and a character as a sheet. GMs are generally assumed to have and should have a higher level of system mastery than players. So I want to talk about character creation for a second. Let's see. Scab, asked the man with jolly eyes, tilting his head. No. What exactly is a scab? Mm-hmm. Hold on. Where do they all come from? You don't seem to like them much. He looks at the mask, squinting his eyes as if trying to ascertain what they're scared of. Nod. Have you tried talking to them? I suppose I'll say I'm not a scab, I'm a cop. His smile deepens, his wrinkles even more. He chuckles, then realizes. Oh, okay, continue. Um, uh, 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 I'm actually a worker like you guys. Well, no, but if he thinks I'm a worker and I go to talk to his boss, then he's gonna think I'm a scab. It's terrible. I'm gonna say you're the man in the boots at the gates. Kuno said you know about the armor. Oh, okay. Uh, his promise? Oh, oh, oh. That sounds like Kuno. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Oh, Kuno. No, it's fine. He's so Kuno used us too. What, scare you? Okay. He contemplates taking a swig from his flask. The probe into the armor, what did you learn? Hmm. Oh, what sort of technical stuff? Hmm. Interesting. I'm going to tell you something, though, about character creation. Hmm. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Wait, hold up. Four pieces? Helmet, cuirass, gauntlets, boots. What about the leggings? Hmm. Uh. Well, I'm ambitious. I'm going to find all of it, all the pieces. Hmm. I mean, we'll try. Hmm. Thank you for your cooperation, sir. Hmm. Okay. Okay. Um. What's this strike about anyway? Oh. Okay. So I need to get past the gates and speak with your boss. Um. He might have information about a killing that took place behind the hostel. Does this mean you can let me through the gate? Oh. That simple? I just walk in? Past Measurehead? Uh, right. Aha. Okay. So you're saying it's actually quite difficult. Mm. Has anyone here ever bested him in a physical confrontation? It's not going to be me. Yeah, and I am not. Also I'm like wounded. Has any of the scabs tried that should we have any of the scabs tried converting to his worldview? Hmm. Okay, got it. Another thing. Uh hey, I'm actually a worker like you guys. No, I'm not gonna show him the card. That seems like a bad idea. Nice talk. Uh gotta get moving. I'm not gonna ask the striking worker for money, everybody. I'm not gonna do it. That seems not great. I am, however, going to try to find uh I could go up there, but I don't want to. I just sort of want to, you know. All right, so character creation. So here's the thing. There are. It says G. Greater Revachol Industrial Harbor. This is all. There we go. Okay. I should talk to this guy, but I'm not going to just yet. I'm going to look in there. The lorries probably stored fuel here. Now they store booze. I'm also going to go and grab this money over here. I'm going to take all of it. Ooh, pardon me. Excuse me. Look, I've got to tell you about stuff. It's important. I got some money. That's something. Okay, so. Look in the window. Ooh. Once we finish this truck, I'm going to tell you something. What kind of stickers and insignia? Don't like it. What about that back seat? Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The lieutenant nods for the racist lorry driver. I know. You think this lorry belongs to our tough guy? Yeah. Yeah. Let's go. We have a skill point, everybody, which is the perfect excuse. By the way, what we're doing is just like doing a good walk around this whole area because we can, but we have to save. And while we're saving, it's an excuse to look at chat a bit more. All right, let me see. Yeah, Crit Witch, 6 years as an affiliate. Let's see. Valtiel says, if I swear if Kudo turns out to be the big bad evil in this game, probably. I had thought about character creation this week too. Mm-hmm. Missile Monkey says, shh, that would never happen. In my humble opinion, if you know it's a trap, then it's no longer a trap, at least not as intended. Maybe. Missile Monkey says, I'm not a granter of passage. The passes grant. Yeah, right? Yes. Valtiel says, I think we were only 1 XP away from a skill point before, so we should have been now. We have one. So here's the thing, right? There is a habit that has developed from Dungeons and Dragons. I don't have a lot against Dungeons and Dragons, really, but this is one thing I think is not great. And that habit is players making characters in the absence of other people. So what I mean by that is it was like just pretty standard that the GM would say, hey, we're going to play D&D. You know, make a first level character, make a third level character. And that's pretty much all that the person would say. And you would just make your character on your own and come to the table. Maybe if you were lucky, there would be some maybe you would make characters all together at the same time. But usually all that would be is basically, hey, who's gonna play the healer? Like, you're trying to get the party balance. But that was a conversation amongst players to see who would be playing what, so you could get party balance. And sometimes the GM might say, not the Book of Vile Darkness, but there was kind of a norm that players built what they wanted and the GM just had to deal with it, even if that made no sense. And then as game companies started making splat books, selling directly to the players, players felt very entitled to play whatever they want. And I've seen multiple comments, things like, the GM won't let me play a Dragonborn. That GM is awful. And people will be like, absolutely, you should be able to play whatever you want to play, right? There's like an attitude that has developed coming out of, I really think, D&D and then later games that sort of followed with that tradition, that players can do whatever they want. And I'm just not about it, to be honest, because I have been the GM for far too many campaigns where somebody's playing a lawful good paladin, somebody's playing a chaotic evil assassin, and somebody else is playing a character who doesn't want to be there. And I've just been the entire time not GMing them through a world, but trying to keep the group together and try to keep them, like, trying to stop inter-party conflict all the time. Or I don't, and then they all just kill each other and they have to make new characters. You know what I mean? Like, it's... or like the time when I was not the GM for this game, I was the player, and it was like it was a campaign set in a region that was sort of like snows, dead snows, whatever it was, and somebody was like, I'm going to make a pirate who wants to leave this whole area and go to the sea. Like, we were not playing a pirate campaign, we were playing a campaign set in these, like, the snowy mountains, but the player made a character who didn't want to be there, and then try to force everybody to leave. So, this is, has formed a particular kind of norm that I am not about, especially because I do not railroad players once the game starts. So for me, what I do is I have a pretty heavy hand during character creation, actually. I am what some people would probably call a dictator GM on that level, in that I say, here's the pitch for the game. I want to run a game that is where everybody is in a wizard school. Do you want to play in a game where everybody's in a wizard school? And then if you say yes, I say, tell me your concept. If your concept is, I want to play a person who's not in a wizard school, I would say, no. You can't play that character because that character is not in the wizard school. I do not normally have to say no, but I will absolutely 100% say no. And there are certain things I will just say no to. If your concept, the thing you want to do, does not fit into the campaign concept that you agreed to, I'm going to just say no. And I will also say no for things that just don't fit into that campaign. And I don't have to do it often because I get buy-in, right? But if you come up with a concept that is not going to fit with the campaign, I'm just going to say no. You have to come up with a new concept. Because once the campaign starts, I'm super hands-off. And I have not had to say no often, but I have had to say no. I remember I had a character who was like, oh, my concept is that I'm a serial killer who's going to kill all the other PCs. And I was like, no. Nope. Sorry, that's not this game. We're not playing a game where you're secretly trying to kill all the other PCs and then you murder them all and then you win. We're not playing that. You don't get to play that character. Nope. I had another one where I was playing a game that was, I was running a game. I have a, how do I put that? I think, generally speaking, that particular thing that I think is fairly reasonable. You have to play the game. And if you come up with a character that does not play the game, you cannot play that character. That's just sort of like, and I think that's reasonable, although I do know people who are really used to the kind of D&D style who balk at any restrictions on their character concept. But, I still think that's pretty reasonable. Yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy line, it's not true yet. That's why I create options. But if certain options are non-viable, don't exist, then the GM is being fair. Yeah. You can't say no to players where that's bad GMing. This is what I'm saying. I have a few personal rules that I'll make clear before a game. I won't play in a PvP game. I have been burned one too many times, same with the interplayer theft, but I'll make it clear before I join. Yeah, and the thing is, this is what I think is actually really interesting, right? We are currently in a space where it's totally fine for the players to have their lines and veils, the things they want and they don't want, but it's thought of as not okay for GMs to have those same things. I'm not into it. And if it's like if we're gonna play a pirate campaign, you have to play a character who would go on a pirate ship. That's it, right? That's the foundational basis of that campaign. Now, if you don't want to play in a pirate campaign, either you do not play in this campaign or we don't play a pirate campaign. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is really what it comes down to. Which is also why it depends on what we're doing, right? If I have a regular group of players where I have one group of players and they're the ones I'm playing with, then what I do with them is I will pitch them 3 different campaign concepts. And I'll be like, here are 3 different campaign concepts. Depending, I might do 3 to 5. Let's vote to see what people want to do. And then we vote, and then we do the ones that people want. There's got to be player buy-in. If I'm doing what I'm doing right now, which is streaming, I come up with a concept, and then I find players who want to play that concept. If you do not want to play the concept, then do not say yes. It's really pretty simple, because I do not want to fight players. I don't want to fight them. I want players who want to play the game. And that's like, for me, that's like and I will also veto certain things that I think are a problem. Like if you have a character, if I was like, okay, this is a game where everybody's part of a team and you're gonna be working together, and you're like, okay, I want to play a character who has no friends, who hates everybody, and does not want to work with anyone, and will not work with anyone, no matter what. The only way I'd say yes to that person if it's Greg, because I know that Greg as a player will make sure that the character will work with people. But I have had way too many like loners who are just not playing this. They want to play a solo game. If you want to play a solo game, I can GM you a solo game, but I'm not going to have you playing a solo game when it's supposed to be a group game, right? So like I absolutely will veto characters, which I know is not popular to do. But I do that for the good of the entire table. I don't do it because of like, I'm like, this is going to cause a problem. So no, right? That tends to be where I'm at with that one. If you're playing to win over the other players, then you're playing a different game. Absolutely. And you have to be playing the same game. Barontor, my current game, the players didn't make complex backstories since the probability of death is higher than 5e. So then filling in gaps in backstories as we play along. Made sure all the players were clear that the basis of the game is the group works together. Yeah. Yeah, that makes no sense. The GM is another person playing. Their views are just as valid. Yeah. Missile Monkey says, I have actually had a player say, well, this story doesn't work for my character. Well, that's backwards. Absolutely, Missile Monkey. Make a character that will work with the story, or do not say yes to that story. Now, here's where the flip side is. If I'm a GM and I come up with this thing, a concept, and nobody wants to play it, then I don't get to run it. That's it. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a reason why it took me 30 years to run City of Light and Shadow, because I was not in a space. Most of the in-person players that I had around me did not want to play a no magic gritty French resistance campaign. So I didn't run it. I ran other things instead. And it took me time before I found players who were like, oh, that sounds really fun. Absolutely. And it took actually online gaming. So I could find people from all over the world and actually all over the, who would be like really into it. So I will not run something if the players don't want to play in it. But if you agree to play in a thing, then you need to play the thing, right? That's just, that for me is... But also, if I know you don't want to play a thing, I won't invite. Like, I know some people who do not like horror games, so I'll not invite them to play in a horror game. But if I want to play with them, like if I want those people to be players at my table, I'll make sure that I run something that is not a horror game so I can invite them. Do you know what I mean? We have to play together is really what it comes down to. Yeah. And the thing is, there are people who are like, oh, I really want to play with so-and-so, but I know so-and-so doesn't like horror. Okay, I'm going to find something. And if I knew somebody really wanted to play something that was really wholesome, and sometimes it happens that I'm like, oh, I want to play with that person. They want to play something really wholesome. What kind of a concept can I think of that's a really good wholesome game? Okay, who else might want to play that game, right? And then I find people who want to play a wholesome game. And for me, this is like, that's just about matching concept to players and vice versa. But there are players who refuse to play the game. And that is not cool. It's not cool. And that's not the same thing as a character who doesn't want to play. It's like if the player wants to play, it's okay for them to make a character who doesn't want to play, as long as I know that the player is going to make sure that the character plays. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Now, all of that is what I'm going to say is what I think of as being reasonable. That said, I do have some things that are, how do I put this? When I say that I think it's important to veto problematic concepts, right? Like if somebody's like, yeah, I want to go and play this racist stereotype, I'd be like, nope, sorry, right? Or there are a couple of people, like there are certain things I have no problem with, generally speaking, but not when that one player does it. Like there are some people I know. I knew a couple of dudes. Hmm. Like, I have no problem, generally speaking, with people playing genders other than their own, except that some people are sexist jerks, and I will not let them play a gender other than their own at the table because they can't do it without being offensive. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, like personally speaking, I think it's fine for men to play women, women to play men, non-binary people to play whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually, generally speaking, fine with it. However, I don't subscribe to absolutes. There are some people I was like, oh, you absolutely not, you cannot do this respectfully, so no. And that's about making sure that the table is safe for everyone. And I always feel like it is the GM's job, it's their responsibility. They're not the only person, but it's the buck stops there, right? To make sure the table is safe for everyone. And if somebody's a really good player, but they cannot do that, then they should not do that. And I have to say no to that thing. You know what I mean? But I will say that generally speaking, I have rarely had to say no to a character. Uh, that rarely happens. It rarely happens because generally speaking, people agree to the concept. Sometimes I've had to say, "Hey, let's do some adjustments here, right? Let me throw some things out here for you. The concept you've had is far too like we're starting with beginners, and your concept is way too cinematic and like we're going for like a every person, and you've created a Dolph Lundgren. So let's scale back the concept, right? But generally speaking, I don't have to say no or even do a lot of adjustments because most people are on board. But the thing is, back in the D&D days, there were a lot of people who just really were not. They were very because they'd been taught to only make happen with Vampire 2. It happened with any game that really sold where things were being sold directly to the players and players were expected. And I think this is not helped by things like living Greyhawk or Pathfinder or just Cider. People can just make whatever they want and then just show up and they're like, I get to here's my character. It doesn't really matter what's happening in the game. I get to do what I want. Just don't think that's really good for teamwork, you know? Um, yeah. Cyberpunk is a prime example of characters that don't want to play the game versus player that wants to play the game. Absolutely, absolutely, Jer. Hawkeye says, I would never play across my gender just out of fear of being accidentally sexist with it doing something that is sexist about real thing. The thing is, a lot of people can do it. I think a lot of people can do it and they do it very well, and it's not really even a problem. I have just seen one or two people, and like, that's why I don't have a blanket. I don't have a ban on it. I'm just like, not you, because you're gross, right? Missile Monkey says, I recently finished in a Starjammer campaign where the other player was playing a space ranger and a construct while I was playing a totally not a space pirate and his bard pilot. Love it. Scabby says, but Trooper, I've heard GMs are never supposed to say no. Oh, I say no. Absolutely, I say no. Conflicting concepts that end up working. Yeah, because the players are playing together. Do you know what I mean? But look at my jaw. Dolphus is the 2x4 jaw, man. And the thing is, I have played characters that are very upstanding in a party of characters who are not upstanding, and I just make sure my character does not know about it. You know what I mean? And like, or find some way to make excuses because as a player, I want to play with them. You know? Hmm. I would have said Philippe. Um, Encyclopedia. Let's do it. Oh, you know what? Oh, oh, I. Sorry, Encyclopedia. Oh, in what way? Mm. Um, how did he manage to blow through the entire national treasury? Hmm. Might not be true, though. Hello, horrific. I should wear a horrific necktie. Um, I would like to sleep on gold. I wouldn't. The king's a king, and he can do. Nope. Wait, really? There's no way that's true. Yeah. There's no way that's true. The the what now? Uh, but this is a lot to process. Uh-huh. Okay. Where is he? Like, I'm not gonna say so he's it to the nose candy and blow to druggie because that seems very judgy. And I think I know what nose candy is because I'm dressed in disco clothing. Uh, okay, where is he buried now? Huh. So what happened to the statue? Hmm. 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 So who restored the monument? Hmm. Hmm. The art's pretty cool. Hmm. That's brilliant. So funny and nihilistic. Eh. Hmm. Hmm. Let's leave, shall we? Uh, also, we do have a skill point, which I'm very excited about. Uh, and while we look at our skill point situation, by the way, I took off the overlay because I couldn't get it to work. It never really worked properly. But I did want to say something, and also checking in on chat. Um, Colonel says, I play Questioner all the time. I think Mokeda, because I generally approach the characters as people first. Yep, that's generally is how you do it. Right? Like, that generally is how you do it. But I also played at a table with mostly males and male presenting people, so I'm usually gender bending just to mix up the party makeup. Yeah, and the thing is, I actually think it's good to do it. As long as you see people as people, human beings. Also says, good dice. Yes. Colonel says, though my current Dark Heresy game actually has three female PCs, despite it being four men, a woman, and an NB. See. Look, as a GM, I play multiple genders all the time, so it's certainly doable. Jer says you kind of have to play across genders as a GM as well, psychic, because that turns into a very boring world otherwise. And yeah, PCs are played differently from PCs, but they can lead to the same faults. Yes. Call back to Sunny and Cher. Yes. Missile says, I'm sorry, Squire, but the current concept only has room for Sunny and Cher's hair. Not enough room for the rest of Cher. Oh, you know what we should do? We should look at what our what we have one skill point. and we should see what kinds of things we need. We have Encyclopedia Formidable, Logic Formidable. Oh, hold on. You know what was? Pain Threshold might be... we need more health. I remember right now, we need more health because we don't have a lot. And I think that's endurance, right? Oops, wrong button. Pardon me. Cool? No, endurance. Cool for fighters who can take a hit. Lookouts who don't sleep. Human batteries. It improves your health. One of the two. Yeah. So I know that would be really useful for us to have other things going on, but we are at the point of death. So we're just going to level this up. We're going to just increase our endurance because it's really important that we don't die. That's just I feel way better at this point in time with 3 total health right now, currently 2. That just makes me much happier. I just remembered that I was like, oh no, I don't feel good about being at the edge of death, which is like being at the edge of glory, but worse. I cashed in all my shares in Sunny. According to our records, your Sunny shares were sold for Bono shares. Okay, so here's what I was going to tell you. I was going to tell you this thing. Wait. Active thoughts alter dialogue options. Thought bonuses differ for research and completion. Substances can be administered during dialogue. Tools are context sensitive. Equip them before use. Time passes when picking new dialogue options. Read books to pass time quicker. Gain experience by completing tasks or by exploring. Leveling up grants you skill points. Use skill points to unlock skills or unlock or forget thoughts. White skill checks can be re-rolled. I think we need to unlock more thoughts, by the way. That's a thought that I have. I feel like we should probably do that. We have got 3 thoughts, and I think I really think we need basically 1 more. Yeah. Yeah, I think we need to unlock another thought. So the next time we level up, which will be like clearly in 2 seconds. By the way, what are we holding? We're holding yeah, I think that's fine. I think we're fine. We do, however, just for the record, we do not have enough money for sleeping. But I did want to tell you something about something that I think could very easily be thought of. A bold slogan, Humanox, covers the truck. That I could imagine someone thinking is unfair and unreasonable. And I think that is also fair, but it is my personal line, right? Like, that I would not necessarily advocate for other people, but it is mine, right? You know how, like, so for me, I think the idea that, oh, let me just take all of that. The idea that people should be playing the game that they agreed to is something that I feel pretty good advocating, generally speaking. Oh. But I do have a personal thing that for me is just personal. It's just a personal thing. Personal. Just don't have the range. It was either that or shares and Elton John Hey, shares and Elton John sunglasses might make you a pretty penny. I can tell you about composers in 5 minutes. Yes, I will. So here's the thing. Really interesting. It is not until the classical period that composers function the way they do now, right? We're going to think like with Beethoven onward, they became, you know that Beethoven was actually really important in like copyright law? in that way that I find oppressive. But before the classical era and the Baroque and also the Renaissance, composers would write out what we call figured bass. They'd write out like basically the bass notes, and it was expected that the performers would improvise, right? Like if you were the keyboardist, like on a harpsichord or whatever, you would improvise. They just give you like the bass line, and you would improvise over it. You'd improvise what chords you wanted, all that stuff, and it was generally expected that musicians would improvise over the music, and then the composer would give you a melody usually, but the performers would improvise on the melody. They would like ornament it how they wanted to. There was just a lot of it. It was a lot more jazz-like. It was a lot more improvisatory. But what ended up happening was that we ended up getting this kind of like weird romantic cult of the genius, and composers were then like, no, only play exactly the notes as I wrote them because I'm a genius, right? And then performers were no longer taught the skills of improvising. So it was standard that performers would improvise. If you did like a violin sonata, it was standard that you would improvise your cadenza. You would just jam. You know what I mean? Like there's that moment where you just jam your thing. And opera singers would often just really just do their own thing. Also, if the audience was super into it, they would do their aria a second time. It was also standard, especially in Italian opera, that if you were like a big famous opera singer, you would bring your favorite best arias with you, and you would just shove them into the opera whenever the audience was like, do your favorite aria. And you're like, okay, you just throw it in there, even if it was not originally written into the piece. And composers knew it. And that was also part of, you were hoping you'd get one of those opera singers to do your stuff. So there was a lot more jazz in classical music before the cult of the composer as sort of genius. And it's the same thing with Shakespeare. Shakespeare, it's so hard to find out what is the original text of Shakespeare because Shakespeare rewrote stuff all the time, and his performers would rewrite stuff as well. There wasn't like, we now treat Shakespeare like he's some kind of wild genius and you can't do anything with him, but that wasn't how it was at the time. But of course, once you start getting like copyright in this way, and the idea of the composer is genius in this way, and the performer as only a trained monkey who just reproduces what is written without anything else, all of that went away. And so now you have all of these people who've studied in conservatory for years, but they don't know how to improvise because they're never taught how to do so because it's considered disrespectful to improvise on the greats. And I remember when I was doing theater, they would always say like, whatever you do, never change any of the words of the script. That's disrespectful to the author. And that is just not how it was. Do you know what I mean? Like life was way more jazz before the 18th century, 19th century. Yeah. Of course, also, we're dealing with a lot of these things being in a bit of an oral tradition or with notation, but we didn't have the printing press in the same way. So a lot of things were not, you may not have actually gotten the notation. You might have gotten it, but usually only parts, not the full thing. It was just a much looser, more collaborative and improvisatory tradition until, great man genius narratives. It's very, very disappointing. But Beethoven loved his bass lines. He had an entire symphony where the bass line was the melody, if I recall, several times. Even Othello, Othello. There are like 15, 20 versions of Othello, absolutely. Shakespeare was notorious for, he would change scripts all the time, right? Like, there's a whole thing about, like, so everybody knows that, Hamlet is a college student, should be like 20 years old. But everyone's like, no, Hamlet should be like 35 because in the script it says that he's 35. And it's like, that was a rewrite because Edmund Garrick, who was playing Hamlet, was old and no one would buy him as a college student. So Shakespeare just like wrote in lampshaded 35, right? You know what I mean? Like, but it's not right. This. Oh, part of that thing, Mr. Monkey, part of the thing about the figured bass is because Western music, art music, did not use harmony the way we think of harmony until the mid-18th century. So you didn't need to write out the harmonies because they weren't thinking in terms of harmony. They were thinking in terms of mode. So in terms of like melodic lines and how the melodic lines interact with each other. This was basically all a bunch of melodic lines overlaid on top of each other, but not the kind of way that we do harmony now. And the way that we do harmony now developed 1750, like around then. And so when you weren't thinking in terms of harmony, like you weren't thinking vertically or thinking horizontally, what would happen is that the composer would just make a horizontal line, and the keyboard player would just sort of improvise vertical things over it. But the vertical didn't really matter so much until we hit the mid 18th century. So how we understood music changed actually quite a lot. There was like music from the 1600s and 1700s is so radically different from music. Music from the 1600s is radically different from music from the 1700s, 1800s. Just really, really different. Just how it is even conceived. It's a totally different music theory. The music theory is completely different. And the thing is that when you go to school now, you do not learn early music theory. Almost nobody does. They almost only learn music theory from what they call the common practice period, which is the classic and romantic era. And so you're not even taught how music was thought of, how it was conceived and put together before the classical era, which is a real bummer, because then what ends up happening is that people, having only been trained in music theory from like basically 1780 to 1912, then will look at early music and they will try to understand it using the lens that they have been taught, but that's not actually what the music was doing at all. So they fundamentally misunderstand early music because they've not been taught what early music was doing. It's kind of a bummer, really. And then we have the Shakespeare play that shall be named. Oh yes, the Scottish play. Mm-hmm. Hmm. 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 Oh, I doubt she's my grandma, but I'll say, excuse me, ma'am, I'd like to ask some questions. Then I'll say grandma. I feel like snapping my fingers in front of her face is a little rude. I don't know what to do, y'all. I feel so much better with 3 endurance rather than 2. Really, I just need you to know that. Yeah, I just need you to know that. I was feeling very unsafe. It was either the 16th or 17th centuries where musical theory was literally changing from year to year. Yeah, that's right. It was like 17th century, 18th century, right? Because basically, early, like you have like basically medieval music, which is like a long, long time, and then you get Renaissance, a lot of changes there. Then the Baroque, but then as we leave the Baroque and move into the classical, that whole time period between like 1700 to like late 1700s, just lots of massive changes. Really, like a lot of things were dumped. Other things, really, like such big differences. You know what I mean? Like really, it's quite profound, actually. Yeah, snapping your fingers in her might just get your fingers snapped off. Yeah, I'm not going to snap my fingers in her face. It seems rude. It just seems like a rude thing to do. And I understand that maybe there was like some really exciting quest information, but I don't want to be rude to this grandma who's just happy right now. Oh, hey, I don't know what that is, but let's take it. We got a white tank top. Do you think that's useful? We need a whole bunch of... Okay, we have a white tank top. And tank top, gym vest, reeking of sweat. This sleeveless shirt is the best choice if you're not afraid to show off your masculine upper body and that hairy chest. Okay, I imagine we would wear it instead of a shirt. But our shirt gives us bonuses to conceptualization, which I like. It has an Can we wash our clothes? could we go to the laundry? I feel like if we went to the laundry, we'd have better stats. Do you see what I'm saying to you? I'm just saying that maybe. I feel like you all know what I'm saying. Here we go. Ruins full of snow. No one lives here anymore. Ooh, I love the sound of seagulls. I grew up in San Francisco, and I grew up in the outer Richmond. So in the morning, the fog would roll in, and I would always hear the seagulls. I would regularly hear seagulls out and about. And that is a very comforting and the smell of salt air. Yeah, I really enjoyed growing up where I did, when I did. And I do miss that. Let's see who this guy is. Hey, Lightning Invoker, how are you? Could we even afford to do a load of laundry yet? I don't think so. Okay, feed the kittens. Go ahead. Then I'll come back and start harassing about wrapping up. Thank you, Krellin. What's going on here? The man yells towards the harbor gates. His voice is the loudest of the lot and oddly screechy for a man his size. No worries, Atomica. Running laundry, you mean getting thrown into the canal and letting your clothes air dry?
Name game.
I feel like that's very, very our guy. Maybe named Harry? We don't know. Thank you, Itlnian. It is my 6 years as an affiliate, 6.5 as a streamer, but also what I need to tell you in a very serious way is the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say boo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then I say the name again with an F very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Atomica, 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 banana, fanna, Atomica, fee, fi, mo, atomic, whore. Atomica, the name game. Woo! Thank you for that resub, Atomica. 41 months, you're old. Not as old as me. I mean, I'm super old, but you know what I mean. Yay! Also, Atomica, congratulations on your good grades at the end of the semester. Congrats. Oh, night. Okay, so look, I wanted to tell you about my idiosyncratic thing. Good night, Atomica. Let's see. Hold up and stay frosty. Oh, cops. Yeah. Okay. The broad-shouldered alpha male turns to you. He's a full head taller than everybody else here. Why should I? I'm not even here for this. No, I'm thinking no. Yeah, I don't care about you. Really? Oh, yeah, no. Yeah. What kind of cause are we talking about?
Name game.
Yeah. I don't think I've chosen any side yet. I actually have. What? That's true. No, no. Look, I've got some questions for you. Uh, oh my goodness. Yeah, who are all these strikebreakers? Honest? Mm.
Name game.
The man runs a hand through his silly graying military haircut. No, that's not what this is about. No, nope, nope. I'm gonna sing some name gaming. Ooh. We're gonna do a name game. Yeah. I've got a name game to do. Can I just finish this up, please? Mm-hmm. And you're unable to breach the entrance. Wow. Yeah. Why don't you just like wait, head measurer? Yeah? I mean, how bad could one guy be? You seem capable. I'm mm. Yeah, why don't you just like talk to them? Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, you should go home. Yeah, I'm gonna go do a name game, but I actually need to speak with a union boss. I'm interviewing people about a murder that took place here behind the hotel cafeteria there. Mm. Yeah. Why so tense? I think you know. Yeah, he is. Why would I do that? Yeah. I don't know. I'm not gonna support you because you're sketchy. Yeah. Something is like I've got to do a name game. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where exactly are you from? Uh, Curiosity. I'm gonna figure out this strike mess. Yeah. I already got that. I'm interested in your background. Hmm. 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 You know, sweet. Uh, I know bars. Been thrown out from several. Maybe that's why you seem familiar. Hmm. Never heard of it. Are you lying? He squints at you. A little spark of violence gutters in his eyes. Then he blinks and turns to his men. Yeah, this guy seems, what's the word? Sketchy as all get out. I think he's a company man, is what I think. I think that he's some kind of sketch-tasticness. But I have a name game, is what I've got right now. I've got some name games to sing. I don't have to worry about him with his sketchiness, because right now, what I want to tell you is the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, or an M will appear. And then I say, bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then that was almost like the Addams Family. Then I say the name again with an F, very plain. Then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. Voltiel, 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 Bobaltiel, banana, fanner, for Faltiel, fee, fi, mo, Maltiel. Voltiel, Lightning Invoker, Lightning Invoker, Lightning Invoker, Bo Lightning Invoker, Banana Fenna, Fo Fighting Invoker, Fee Fi Mo Lightning Invoker. Lightning Invoker, the name game. Olay. Woo. Thank you for those resubs. Aw, and a piggyback resub. Aw. Hey, we did what do you call it? Hype Train level 2. T minus 14. Like, oh, okay. So close. All right. We've got 13 minutes. I would like to point out that I don't trust this guy at all. This guy is like sketchy. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't done asking questions. Maybe. You know what? Yeah, where are you from, though? Yeah, I thought you looked real familiar for a second. Really? Yeah. 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 All right, I'm gonna go. I still don't trust you, though. I think you're sketchy. Hey, calling me sketchy is insulting. Okay, you're right. You're right. Lightning Invoker. So we have been around the world. We should probably try to look, what I'm gonna do is see if we can talk to this guy, right? Like, I don't know if we can. It may be not doable. Whew. Let's get in there. Look, the thing is we can't get in there, which is why I'm willing to try it. Because we can't get in anyway, so in case of strike, press button behind guard. Okay. I figure before we leave, we can just, there are a lot of people here. Okay. Can I just chat with you before we go? Yeah, don't pay attention. Look over there. I wish this game didn't have a high-pitched background noise going on in this scene. Scabadak, I hear it. I can turn you down, though. That's rude. It's rude. Let me turn you down a little bit. There you go. Also, that high-pitched sound is gone at the moment, so there's that. Okay. That's nice, thanks. The young woman at the giant side agrees. Great. Yeah, I'm gonna say nothing. I'm gonna size him up first. A ripple of muscle passes underneath his skin. He lets me look. Yeah, okay. That's right, it's you. Right. You know what? I'm gonna puff out my chest and just say nothing. He looks me up and down, taking stock of my physique. Dang. I was trying. You're a piece of work, my friend. Wow, everybody here. So amazing. Yep. Okay, so someone else could hear the subtone. For some reason, I hear subtones everywhere. I mean, there's a lot going on in the soundtrack, this piece. I'm stealing my own high-pitched noises, though. Miss Monkey, it's been a while thinking it was by tonight. No, there was a... But right now, hold on. It's not there right now, but it was there for a while. Why is it lower pitched than usual? Or is it my computer fans? What about... Oh, yeah. Okay. He's like the greatest racist. Let me see. My body is unimportant. I'm with the police, and we need to get into the harbor. His face contorts with disgust, as if he were smelling a dead rat. Okay. Right. Uh, yeah, so wait. Al Ghul? What? I have no idea what you're talking about. I have amnesia. Oh, do you mean alcohol? I see. Okay. Wow. Wow. Yeah, he's into phrenology. Okay. Uh, yeah. So the Ilmarin people did not invent alcohol. It's existed since the Neolithic. Wow. I don't think that's how history works. Yeah, this conversation is going very well. The babe looks at him with eyes full of admiration that transcends the merely sexual. Yeah, okay. Kim, is it really so bad? Oh. Oh. Terrible. Yeah, so uh yeah. So enough. I need you to open the door to the harbor. You are a piece. A piece. Uh oh. Okay, so I feel like both of these are not the best options ever. Um I'm just gonna say we're gonna get all policey on him though. He's not gonna respond well to either one of these things. I'm the police and I need you to comply now. '19th century scientific racism is like old. Thank you, Krellin. Thank you, Five. First off, 1980s alternative music's pretty awesome. I don't care. Great. Uh, what's inexplicable about like potatoes are delicious. I made some mashed potatoes the other day. I'm just saying. Yeah, he likes to use his big words. How about look, you're right about all this. No, just look. Come on. I just need you to move about 20 centimeters back. Uh The situation is serious. Your people have probably killed a man. I need to talk to your boss. Why? Why are you here? Yeah. Um. Oh, hey. I cannot. No, I'm gonna say, don't be such an asshole to your fellow dock worker. I'm gonna show him the ID. I did try. Hey, do you know anything about this mug? You know anything about it? Isn't Everett the union boss white though? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah, but you still serve him. How does that factor into your life? Mm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Name game.
I'm gonna sing the name game, and then I'm gonna finish this conversation with you, by the way. But what I want to say, Neo, I have to tell you something later. But the name game. Come on, everybody. I said, now let's play a game. I bet you I can make a rhyme out out of anybody's name. The first letter of the name, I treat it like it wasn't there. And then a B or an F, on M will appear. And then I say Bo at a B, then I say the name, then banana, fanner, and foe. Then I say the name again with an F very plain, then a fee, fi, and a mo. And then I say the name again with an M this time, and there isn't any name that I can't rhyme. A neo, neo, banana, fana, for neo, fee, fi, mo, ma, neo. A neo, the name game. A neo is one of our sponsors on the Foxhole, which I very much appreciate. And I have to go and send you something for that, by the way. Yay! How are you? Look, there's this like super weird, illogical racist here. So I'm going to say communism is pretty cool. Who is this guy? I've got it from Disco, actually. Thanks. Hey, 70s disco's the best. By the way, yeah, okay, I'll ask, who are the Seminese, though? Uh-huh. No one cares. Why do you keep shouting at me? Also, you were born and raised on the islands before you moved to Revachol. Mm-hmm. Anio, we have got business. So you did not come from the islands. Uh-huh. So you're not really Seminese. You're just from Revachol. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, Kim, what do you think about this? Hmm. uh, uh, that will be our lucky racist. Mm-hmm. So much phrenology. So much phrenology. Hello, nonchalant skeleton. I love Kim Stewart. I love him too. He's so good. He's so good. Wow. Yeah, so what are those tattoos of yours supposed to mean? He gestures to the lorryman down the street. Uh-huh. So you're a Chad? Oh, if you have to tattoo your Giga Chad phrenology on your face, then you don't really have it. Uh, yeah. Are you sure I'm not chronometrically superior to you? Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. 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 Yeah. Okay, so what else? This guy. Oh, wow. I want to know if he's going to tell me my horoscope now. Right? So interesting. So one of my ancestors was Sur la Clef and the other Vesper, is what you're saying, right? This is I got to finish our conversation, fella. Yeah, I got to go. All right. I can't push him. We're going to try to conceptualization, but I don't like it. I don't want to do that. I'm going to opt out. No. I'm going to go. No, I don't. Ooh, he wanders over the whirling's roof to the yard. Hey, guess what? We might be able to do this without talking to this guy. What? I'll see you, Utenline. We're gonna leave. What? Yes? Okay, well, how come there's word on the street? I have to go. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. I didn't say that. Hmm. Yeah, I haven't said anything like that. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna head out. I gotta go. So I'm gonna roll up my sleeves and start building communism. Yeah. Wait. Fire squads? You didn't say anything about those. You know what? I'm gonna roll my sleeves up further and breathe in the pristine air. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna go because we have things to do that involve leaving and closing the game and the stream for today. Can I just pass by him? It looks like I can't just walk right by him. Awkward. So we need to leave. Is what we need to do. And that's it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna save. Saving. Look, I feel like there's like, who's this Rhetoric? Rhetoric, what is up with that? Let's go to the main menu. Yeah, confirm. All right, so I'm over, so I gotta go. Everybody, we got some progress done today. I'm very proud of myself. And we also talked a lot about RPGs, which was really good. There's a theory main character doesn't even know what communism actually is. And I didn't ask, so I feel like that's pretty good. This game really makes one think, yeah, I do. Ooh, queso. Ooh. Thanks for the stream. I would have been here if Twitch had behaved better. Oh, Twitch can sometimes be twitchy. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I had a good time. I'm going to be watching Critical Role at 10 o'clock tonight and finishing up grades. So you want to hang out in my Discord, you can. And, then we have a chat. We sort of watch Critical Role at the same time and chat about it. Tomorrow at noon on my channel, I'll be playing The Outer Worlds. Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. over at Zeal Zaddy, I will be in a panel about GM prep with a bunch of folks. You should definitely come by. I'm going to update my off screen so you can see it. And then next week, it'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday as normal. If anything else crops up, I'll let you know. But tomorrow's going to be, tomorrow at 7 p.m., over here will be the Gamblers, but it's going to be just me. I'm going to run you all through some space combat, both dogfighting and larger space combat. So if you want to know how it works, then you can. Plus, we're going to try out our brand new ship, which is the Camlin Viper, which is our Serpent class stealth dropship. And I did up it to a 15 displacement ton ship, so we could get a little bit more armor in, but it still could use way more armor than it has. But that is our life. We're gonna go. Catch me here at Trooper SJP on Twitch and also YouTube, where we have the archive of all of our shows. Catch me over on Twitter and Patreon at Academic Foxhole, and Patreon goes to pay for the casts of the shows. They get paid first. If there's anything left over, I'll get paid, and I'll be running 2 shows starting in June, so it'll be a little exciting. You know what I mean? And what else do I want to tell you? I feel like that's it. Oh, we have a merch store. Which is in the socials, and it's got really great, cool stuff. Like if you wanted like a mug for the Foxhole, or if you wanted a great T-shirt, which I'm not currently wearing, or if you wanted like a really cool, like our really cool notebook, which I love more than anything, which is our like Gamblers. Ooh, yeah. I have thoughts now. Anyhow, look, it goes to pay for the cast, art, commissions, things like that. So head over to the merch store if you like. And if you also like, go and, see me tomorrow. Give some love. The mug is the perfect vessel for a glass of Starbeam chocolate milk. Oh, yes. I have ideas about that. So everybody have a great time. I'm going to go and warm up some empanadas that I made. And then I'll see you all for Critical Role, and I will catch you on the flip side, everybody. Okay, bye, everybody. Ciao.